Genesis 15 to 22. At sinabi ng Diyos kay Abraham, tungkol kay Sarah, na iyong asawa ay huwag mo nang tatawagin ang kaniyang pangalang siyang papalain at saka sa kanya ay bibigyan kita ng anak. Oo, siya ay aking pagpapalain at magiging ina ng mga bansa. Ang mga hari ng bayan ay magmumula sa kanya. Talata 27. Nang magkagayay nagpapatira pa si Abraham at nagtawa at nasabi sa kanyang sarili, magkakaanak kaya siya na may 100 taon na? At manganak pa kaya si Sarah na may 90 taon na? At sinabi ni Abraham sa Diyos, kahimanawari si Ismael ay mabuhay sa harapan mo. At sinabi ng Diyos, hindi, kundi ang iyong asawang si Sarah ay magkakaanak sa iyo. At tatawagin mo ang kanyang ngalang Isaac. At aking pagtitibayin ang aking tipan sa kanya ng pinagkatipang walang hanggan sa kanyang lahi pagkamatay niya. At tungkol kay Ismael ay dininig din kita. Narito't aking pinagpala siya at siya'y aking papag-aanakin ng marami at siya'y aking pararamihin ng di kawasa. 12 prinsipe ang kanya magiging anak at siya'y gagawin kong malaking bansa. Ngunit ang aking tipan ay pagtitibahin ko kay Isaac na iaanak sa iyo ni Sarah sa tadhanang araw sa taong darating. 22. At nang matapos na makipag-usap sa kanya ay napaitaas ang Diyos mula sa piling ni Abraham. At pinagsama ni Abraham si Ismael na kanikanyang anak at ang lahat na pinanganak sa kanyang bahay at ang lahat ng binili niya ng kanyang salapi, ang lahat ng lalaki sa mga lalaking kasambahay ni Abraham at tinuli ang laman ng kanilang balat na masama ng araw ding iyon. Ayon sa sinabi ng Diyos sa kanya. At si Abraham ay may 99 na taon nang tuloy ang laman ng kanyang balat ng masama. At si Ismael ay may 13 taon nang tuloyin ang laman ng kanyang balat ng masama. Nang araw ding yaon, tinuli si Abraham at si Ismael na kanyang anak. At lahat ng lalaking kasambahay niya, maging ang mga pinanganak sa bahay at ang mga binili ng salapi sa taga-ibang lupain ay pinagtuling kasama niya.
Thank you po. So yung binasa po natin, Genesis 17, ito po yung covenant ng Panginoon kay Abraham. And we divided it into 4 parts. Kaya 4 po ang binasa natin, ano? Hinati-hati natin. The first part is yung nature ng covenant. Yung second na binasa po natin ay yung seal ng covenant. Yung third po, binasa po, ay yung means kung paano po i-execute yung covenant. And yung last part po ay yung response to that, which is yung obedience ni Abraham to that covenant. Now, balik tanawin po natin. Ito po ay hindi first time na kinausap ng Panginoon si Abram. But if you can recall sa Genesis 12, nung tinawag po siya from Haran to a distant land, ito po yung second time na kinausap ng Panginoon si Abram sa Genesis 12. Yung unang-una po ay kinuwento sa Acts 7 verses 2 to 5 na dun pa lamang sa Mesopotamia kinausap na ng Panginoon si Abram to move. And Genesis 12 writes yung second time na kinausap ng Panginoon si Abram to move from Haran to go out to a land. And dito sa Genesis 15 naman, God reassures him of his promise. Sa binasa natin Genesis 17, God again reassures him of his promise. Okay. Ano po ba yung edad ni Moses? Ni Abram. Ilang taon na siya nung binasa natin sa Genesis 17? He is 99 years old. Ilang taon ho siya nung when he moved out from Haran, ilang taon ho siya nun? Sa Genesis 12. He was 75. Okay. Now when God appeared to him the second time, ilang taon ho siya? If someone can recall. Yung second time, when Ishmael was born, 86. So from the time he was called sa Mesopotamia, 75 years old, and Genesis 17, 99, 23 years have already passed since the time that God called him to move and gave him a promise. 27 years. So mamaya, pag-uusapan natin, and medyo unawain natin, si Abram, a man of faith. Kung tayo po pinangakuan, and it's already 27 years since yung promise was given to us. So medyo magiging uneasy po kayo, di po ba? And somewhat, sa Genesis 12 pa lang, when God instructed him to go out, ito yung sinabi sa Genesis 12, I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse. And in all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Yun yung sinabi sa kanya while he was in Haran. Hindi pa detalyado yun. In Genesis 15, medyo inelaborate niya. Okay? Sabi niya sa Genesis 15, starting with, sabihin natin sa verse 4, but the word of the Lord came to him, this man shall not be your heir. Kasi ang feeling ni Abram, up to now, wala siyang anak. And meron siyang si Eliezer of Damascus, hindi niya kamag-anak. Kaya sabi sa kanya ng Panginoon, hindi ito yung magiging tagapagmana mo. No one but your own issue shall be your heir. Manggagaling sa'yo. And in verse 5, he brought him outside and said, look toward heaven and count the stars. If you are able to count them, he said to him, so shall your descendants be. And he believed the Lord, and the Lord reckoned it to him as righteousness. So, yun lang sinabi ng Panginoon sa kanya. Count the stars. Kung mabibilang mo, yun ang magiging sindami ng mga magiging descendants mo. Pero, doon sa Genesis 15, sinabi niya rin kung ano yung mangyayari in the future. So, hindi natin topic na yun, on paano magiging slaves yung descendants niya. And how his descendants will go back and take possession of the land which was promised doon sa ancestors nila. Sa 17 naman, sa Genesis 17, ito, specific na at may dagdag doon sa nature ng covenant. By the way, may dalawang component yung covenant kay Abram. One is a promise of an heir, tagapagmana na manggagaling sa kanya, and yung second is a promise of a land na magiging possession ng descendants niya. Because God promised Abraham nationhood. Hindi matutupad yung nationhood na ipinangako sa kanya kung wala kang tagapagmana, no, na galing sa kanya. And yung lugar kung saan maninirahan yung tagapagmana. So yung dalawang component ng covenant kay Abraham. Going forward, 23 years later, andito tayo sa chapter 17, 99 years old na si Abraham. And he said, I am God. God appeared to him. No? And he said, I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless. Ito yung unang kondisyon for that covenant ay mangyari. He said, walk before me. Pag sinabing walk before me, ano ba yun? Nung una kong binasa to when I was younger, maglakad sa harapan ng Panginoon. Ano ba ibig sabihin nun? Maglalakad lang. Ganon-ganon. To walk before God means to walk in His presence. You know, you are aware na nandun ang Panginoon. Okay? To walk in His presence. And be blameless. Blameless ba, Pas? Ibig sabihin is sinless? Hindi. That means righteous. Pas? Tama ba? Blameless. Walang isusumbat. Yon, walang isusumbat. To walk in the presence of God and to be blameless, na walang maisumbat yung tao sa'yo. And I will make my covenant between me and you will be exceedingly numerous. Sabi ng Panginoon. Abraham fell on his face, and God said to him, as for me, this is my covenant with you. You shall be ancestors of multiple nations. Nung una, hindi ganito ka specific. No? Ngayon, sa 17, may specifics na yung covenant with him. No longer shall be your name be Abram, but your name shall be Abraham, for I have made you the ancestor of multitude of nations. Nabanggit ko last time, siguro may stress natawagin kang Abram, exalted father, and yet wala kang anak. Your wife is barren, and sabi nung iba, ito hindi naman patungkol kay Abram, pero sa tatay niya daw. No? Sa father niyang si Terah. But then, kung isipin mo now, from Abram, he gives you the name Abraham, father of a multitude of nations, mas lalo sigurong stressful. Wala ka namang anak. Wala ka namang pero now you are made Abraham, father of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come from you. Itong part na to, and kings shall come from you, wala ito doon sa una niyang binanggit kay Abram. Now this time, may nadagdag. Kings shall come from you. Hindi pa gaanong detalyado at that time. 23 years later, unti-unting nire-reveal ng Panginoon kay Abraham, now Abraham, kung ano talaga yung plano niya. Now, kings, hindi naman ibig sabihin talaga kings, past, di ba? Kings, like people, magiging judges or someone exalted doon sa kaniyang magiging descendants. But we know that there's one ultimate King of Kings who will come from his bloodline. Di po ba? Okay. So yan yung, I will continue. I will establish my covenant between me and you and your offsprings after you throughout the generations for an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your offsprings after you. I will give to you and to your offsprings after you the land where you are now an alien, all the land of Canaan for a perpetual holding, and I will be their God. Yun yung first part, which is yung nature ng covenant ng Panginoon kay Abraham. A promise of descendants and land para ma-fulfill yung covenant. Those two things na kailangan mangyari. Last week, pinag-aralan natin yung verses 9 to 15 na binigay sa atin ni Brother June about the circumcision. And yun yung seal ng covenant. That is how, paano siselyuhan ng Panginoon itong covenant between you, between Abraham and God through circumcision. And ano yung binanggit ni Brother June last time? Ano yung mas mahalaga? Circumcision ng puso. Pero tama ba, Pas? Hindi ito yung unang, yung circumcision was already practiced by other people in the land. Kaya lang, iba ang ibig sabihin with Abram when God told him na i-circumcise lahat ng male under your na hawak mo, na pag-aari mo. So meron na rin nagpa-practice nito during this time na ibang lahi. Wala. So ito lang yung unang recorded and we studied na merong benefit ito. If done doon sa bata who is 8 days of age. Last time. In fact, si Brother Hill mayroong comment doon. Yung tungkol sa vitamin K. That is what the scientists found, na pagka tinuli mo yung bata, 8 days old, mataas yung vitamin K which prevents hemorrhage. So madaling mag-heal. So katakataka, ang galing alam na ng Panginoon yun. Eons, ages ago, na yun ang tamang edad na pagtuli ng bata. And meron din siyang other benefits. In fact, sabi sa study, it prevents cervical cancer sa babae kung ang asawa ay circumcised. So talagang all-knowing ang Panginoon. But that is yung seal ng Panginoon for the covenant. And we also read Genesis 17 verses 15 to 22. Papaano mangyayari? Okay. How? God said to Abraham, as far as Sarai, your wife, you shall not call her Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. Mahilig ang Panginoon magbago ng pangalan. Abram to Abraham, Sarai to Sarah. Sarah means my princess. Sarah means mother. Mother of nations? Okay. So mas pinalawak. Kasi pag sabing my Sarai, exclusive na yun sa isang tribe. Whereas, pag sinabing Sarah, mother of nations. So kasi yun ang mangyayari, no? And he repeated, no? I will bless her and she shall give rise to nations. Kings of peoples shall come from her. God repeated what He said to Abram na from their line, magkakaroon ng mga hari. And nagkaroon naman talaga ng mga hari. No? We know, David, eventually, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Jesus. Abraham fell on his face and laughed and said to himself, can a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? Can Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child? And Abram said to God, "Oh, that Ishmael might live in your sight." God said, "No, but your wife Sarah shall bear you a son, and you shall name him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his offsprings after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will bless him and make him fruitful and exceedingly numerous. He shall be father of 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation." So, ano nangyari? So, Abraham fell on his face as a sign of reverence, but natawa siya. He laughed. Ang sabi ng iba, this is a laughter na parang, "Oh, Panginoon, seryoso ba kayo? 99 years old. I'll be 100 by then. Sarah will be 90. So, hindi naman daw, sabi ng isang nabasa ko, hindi naman daw totally walang tiwala sa Panginoon. Meron, kaya lang he finds it, katawa-tawa naman to. Hindi pa nangyayari ito. How will that be? Kung isipin mo, 100 years old, paano yun? So he laughed. Natawa siya. Pero meron siyang sabi niya, talagang matutuloy naman to. Kung pwede, yung anak ko, may he walk before you. Ishmael, yung solusyon na naisip ng misis niya na nung nagkaroon ng anak, pinagbintangan sa kanya na kasalanan mo to. So yun yung niya. He offered baka pwede to, substitute. Ishmael, anak ko naman siya. Pero this is one of the, sabihin natin, I find rare occasions na makikita ko magsasabi ng Panginoon, no. Hindi. Your wife Sarah will bear you a son. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his offspring. Sabi ng Panginoon, hindi. Hindi si Ishmael. Pero si Ishmael, yung ko rin? He will become, I will bless him. He will become numerous. He shall be father of 12 princes. And dito nabanggit na magiging pangalan nung anak niya, which is Isaac. Yung Isaac, ano ibig sabihin? Bible quiz. He laughs. Ang ibig sabihin ng Isaac is he laughs. Medyo Panginoon, may way of somewhat humorous. Tumawa ka, ha? So, magiging anak mo pangalan, Isaac. Which means he laughs. Maybe to remind Abram of his promise. And at the same time, remind Abraham na there was a time na he laughed about that. Pagdating ng panahon, remember, you laughed. But then what I said came into being, si Isaac. Ishmael means God hears because he heard Hagar's cry. So yun yung paraan kung papaano magkakaroon ng katuparan yung covenant ng Panginoon. Through flesh and blood ni Abraham, through his son Isaac. And yung last part, na binasa rin kanina, pinag-aralan din natin last week. Actually, yung second part at yung fourth part, yun na pinag-aralan natin last week with Brother June, is yung yung response ni Abraham to that covenant, which is obedience. He followed what God wanted him to do by circumcising everyone in his household, all the male in his household. So eto, Abram, sabi God of man of faith. Pero we've seen Abram fail several times. Una, when he was called out of Ur, he went to Egypt, he lied. about his wife. And then he followed advice ng kanyang wife, magkaroon ng anak through a slave. He laughed at what God said na magkakaroon siya ng descendants. So, as you can see, Abraham is very much like us. Baka kasi may magkaroon tayo na, idol na. Tama, we should learn from Abraham, somewhat idolize him, pero he is no different than any one of us. And yun yung pinapakita ng Panginoon. May mga pagkakamali si Abraham sa buhay niya. And yet, pag ang sinabi ng Panginoon ay promise is a promise. Kahit ano mangyari, because I told you so, gagawin ko. And we can see through the life of Abraham, since the time na tinawag siya sa Mesopotamia, sa Haran, no? And then from Haran to this point in time, which is 23 years, hindi nagbago ang pangako ng Panginoon sa kanya. In fact, unti-unti na nire-reveal ng Panginoon all throughout those years kung ano ang plano ng Panginoon kay Abraham. Okay. I can relate to that. Since the time na nakilala ko yung Panginoon, and up to this time, unti-unti, pinapakita ng Panginoon, ano yung plano sa buhay mo? It's not ganun na lang na ipapakita sa'yo ng Panginoon. Otherwise, it won't be faith. Kung alam mo na. So, dahan-dahan. 23 years. May nagsasabi nga, kaya siguro na-delay dahil yung ginawa yung pagsunod ni Abram sa suggestion ni Sarah to take Hagar, kaya na-delay. Pero ano lang yun? Let's say assumption. We do not know why it took God 23 years bago nilahad kay Abram yung plano niya for nationhood and how that will be accomplished through His promises. Even though kahit gaano sa tingin ng tao, ka-imposible na mangyari. Gagawin niya yung kanyang ipinangako. Okay. I am confident that we can answer questions at this point. Kung may katanungan, andyan si Brother Robert, andyan si Paz. So if you have any questions, that is chapter 17. I'm sure Brother Jun Manalo will continue yung ating study of Genesis. Any question? Any corrections? Okay. Brother Hill?
Hello. Good morning ulit sa lahat. Si Abraham, we know that he is the